Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Nameless. My name is Faceless, not Valueless, and this channel is dedicated to support and validate victims and survivors of narcissistic abuse. You can join my journey by subscribing or liking my videos as I get out of narcissistic abuse myself. I hope everything that I share in this video will be able to help you. And of course, just remember that I am not a licensed counselor or professional by any means. I just want to help you get through this process. And remember that you're not crazy, you're not alone, you are loved and you are valued. Today, I want to talk about something that happened about 2 years ago. I went to the hospital because I was so drained by working 2 jobs. And during this time, I was learning about narcissism, and I was so sick and tired of living here, and I'm still living here, by the way. And I was thinking to myself, all of these different things that I've been told all my life, they have been lies, and I was discovering the truth, and I felt angry, confused, and lonely. And it's a really bad place to be when you don't have supportive people around you. I was working at a fast food and I felt funny. True story. That day, actually, the day before that, at night, I was closing my shift at my other job and I was feeling funny. I wasn't really standing up properly, and I was noticing this for a period of time, even before that night, how sometimes I would walk around the house and I would feel funny. I would almost feel like I was falling down and my knees were very weak, and I just felt confused. And I remember one day I was even washing my dishes and I almost collapsed to the ground. It was it was very odd. And so that night I was closing, I called my dad and I told him, I don't feel well. I think I need to go to the hospital. My right side is numb, meaning my right arm. And also a part of my right leg was also numb. And I wasn't really comprehending what was happening to me. I thought I was having a stroke. My manager, she's so sweet. She gave me something to eat. She told me to stay in the back room for a minute, obviously for longer than a minute, but you know what I mean. And I was just drinking water and I was having all of these headaches and feeling extremely exhausted. Anyways, the next day I woke up, I went to my fast food job, which I hated. And again, I would say an hour into my shift, I was almost had to grab on the computer desk thing and hold on to different things around me and even as I made my way through the kitchen and helping people, doing the dishes and all of that, I would almost fall to my face. And if you have worked in a fast food, you know how extremely dangerous it is to be in that condition, and there's grease on the floor, sometimes water, sometimes flour, even food, different things can fall to the floor. You can slip and it's gonna be a bad day if that happens, So I felt so weird and I just couldn't. And then my manager gave me a chair because I was I'm sorry, someone called me and I'm just going to try to finish this video. My manager gave me a chair so I could sit and, help customers in the drive-through window. But it came to the point where I just couldn't, and my manager called the paramedics. They took a small blood test, I guess, with my finger. They pricked my finger. They asked me a bunch of questions. I told them that I wasn't feeling right and that I needed to go to the hospital. And mind you, I'm not a person that normally does this. I am not this type of person, okay? I actually didn't want to go because remember how I told you that the night before I was closing. Well, when I had the chance to talk to my dad, he told me, I know you want to go to the hospital, but you can't because your insurance kicks in 1 month. So if you go to the hospital, what are you going to tell them? How are you going to pay if you don't have insurance? And I am like, I know, Dad, but I feel bad. Anyways, the point is that I still talked to the paramedics and I told them to call an ambulance. They called an ambulance. I took my things. And it's not like I couldn't walk. I could walk, but I just felt really bad inside. I cannot understand how to explain this. And so on my way to the hospital, I called my parents and I told them, listen, I'm in the ambulance on my way to the hospital. And I just wanted to let you know. And I told them the hospital I was going to. And then after I explained everything and what I was feeling and what happened that led me to want to go to the hospital, and I'm going to give you my own explanation of why I think I was feeling this way after narrating this. So after I talked to my dad, he was like, okay, so if you go to the hospital, tell them you don't have insurance, that your insurance starts in January. This happened in December. Not of last year, 2-3 years ago. And I told him, that's totally fine. I don't care. I just want to go to the hospital. Turns out I went. I was dehydrated. No big deal. There's other things that are major, right? That are scarier than that. But when they told me I was dehydrated, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. I haven't been drinking water. I have been, going to bed really late, working a lot, and the emotional stress that came with the abuse and the controlling situation was way too much for me. I remember, let me put another memory here very quick. During this time, I was still volunteering at church and helping other people, and it's something that I really enjoyed doing. And I thought to myself, the less time I spend in my house, the happier I will be. But actually, it turned out to backfire, and my body got tired. So I remember one day I got out of my bed when I woke up, and I couldn't walk to the bathroom. I fell on my knees, and I had to literally grab on the doorknob to hold myself and stand up and go to the bathroom and take a shower. It was the most, I've never felt so confused in my life, because I thought, oh, I'm dying, or I'm having a stroke, or I don't know what's happening. And then it happened again where I went to my mother's room to find something that I needed, because some of my clothes were in her closet, I guess. And so I didn't fall on the ground, but I just kind of kneeled, and I just slowly just sat on the floor oh, I can't do this anymore. I can't walk. And I just started sobbing because I'm I don't know what's happening. My body's tired. I can't walk. I can't feel my legs. I almost felt like I was going to faint, but all of this going through my head. And then my mom, I guess, heard me, and she went to the room. She asked me if I was okay. She was so concerned, total opposite to my dad, but I'll explain now. And so she looked at me, and her face was what's going on? What's going on? And I told her that I wasn't feeling well, and I explained that I couldn't feel my legs. And I just kept crying, and then my dad comes in the room because he was going to the bathroom. Okay, and after he used the bathroom, I guess he heard the conversation between me and my mom, and he barged in the room, and he was like, what's happening? And I'm like, nothing, I just don't feel well, I'm going to be okay. And my mom briefly explained what happened, and then my dad was like, oh, that's your fault. That's because you volunteer at church. You know, you're not supposed to do so many things at the same time. That's your problem. How many times have I told you not to go because it's going to drain you? Because sometimes I would have to, sometimes I chose to volunteer at church and then go to my job. And both of those things were very demanding because I would be either standing up all day or, walking all the time. It was very demanding to do those two things in one day. And so it was so mind raping. That's the only thing I felt like my mind was being raped. It was so weird. So weird because he basically told me that's your fault. And he basically walked away, went back to the living room and kept watching his football game. Like, narcissists have no empathy. And so let me finish this video by telling you what happened when I arrived at the hospital. When I arrived at the hospital, was it when I arrived or while I was still in the ambulance? I do not remember. But I do remember this thing that my dad told me. He asked me first, where are you going? And I told him the name of the hospital. And then he said, do you want me to go? Do you want us to go? Like my mom and him. Do you want us to go? Or do you want us to pick you up once you're done? I'm like and I paused and I kind of was like, what in the world just happened? Like, are you literally asking me if you want me to come and be here in the hospital with me? Like, any good parent would say, okay, you know what? Tell me where you are. Tell me what's the hospital. I'll be there. I don't know if it's in 10, 20 minutes, but I'll be there. But he was like, do you want us to go there or do you want us to pick you up once you're done? And mind you, pick you up like he was dropping me off for work or, to see a friend, or dropping me off and then picking me up. Like, this is not an event. I'm in the hospital and I'm basically losing money because I was not working. And plus I had to pay this back. Okay? So it's dangerous. Being narcissistic abuse really takes a toll on your body. So guys, please take care of yourselves. Go ahead and subscribe. And oh, by the way, this is what I told them. I told my father, you know what? I'd rather be alone, thank you. And I just hung up. And I cried. And I'm like thinking to myself, I'd rather be alone in this hospital room than having you as company. Because that would have made everything so much worse. Well, again, you know what to do. Subscribe, share this video. Love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting me. And I hope you have a blessed day. Bye-bye.